What's going on, everybody? We'll see you on the other end of 3, minutes or so.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, Olivia, and Mike. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on the Spreely.tv network and all major social media channels at the DUM Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
What's going on, Dumb Nation? We're over here on Rumble and Spreely. And good to see everybody. Lots going on. Running solo tonight. I know. Unbelievable. But here's the good news. Got something kind of cool coming shortly. Let's see this thing to load. There it is. Look at that. Bam. On Fridays, we wear red. The 4th edition of the Red Friday shirt. Pretty excited. We have sold a metric grip of these shirts over the years. And I think I like this one the best. I've always liked the right side design where, remember, everyone deployed is part of the word. And everything just kind of flows. So pretty cool. Pretty excited about it. Hope you're excited about it too. If you're not, we got to get your blood up. Here's a better look at it. So it's stands against black because it looks much better with black. There it is. Not bad, right? It's going to be available tomorrow. Have it up on the show. You can go over to thedumshow.com. So here's the thing. I've not asked this before. Usually I'm pretty much like go to YouTube, go to Facebook, but would love it if you would not mind is to go to Spreely.tv. And Spreely is our syndicated media company. And they have been distributing our show like crazy. And they're doing an amazing job. Terry and Chelsea, they take care of us. They have great shows like Patriot Barbie, Dominic Izzo, and they've been just helping me through this process, not knowing how to do this. Terry worked with David Harris Jr. and really kind of built David Harris Jr., and then David left. There's no accounting for loyalty, but he has a lot of experience doing this. So not only are we on Rumble and Roku and Fire Stick and Apple TV, which you can find at Spreely TV. There's also Spreely Social, which is kind of it's just getting started, like a Facebook or a Twitter. And then there's Spreely News, which you may have seen that we've got a full-fledged news site now, which is great. And the amount of traffic we're getting into that is just incredible. So we also have a newsletter, which is going out every single day. So it's pretty cool. So Spreely's been helping the show grow, and just to see the transformation has been pretty neat. So a lot of bookmarks. It's pretty cool to see Twitter. People I don't even know or follow sit there and repost my articles and stuff, and I think it's pretty cool. So if you would not mind, do me a favor, go over to Spreely.tv and follow us over there. You know, sign up for their social media, sign up for videos and whatnot, and not a bad deal. So got a few people on Spreely now, and we got a bunch of people over on Rumble, and it's good to see that we've got quite a few over on Facebook. So let's get started. I know we don't have Olivia, so it's going to be hard because the pretty face is not here. Holy notifications on Twitter. You know, that's pretty cool too. We're getting a bunch of Twitter people on, which is good to see that they're finally distributing the show. Because, yeah, we've got, I don't know, 9, 10 watching back and forth on Twitter. So that's kind of cool. All right, so there's not a whole bunch to cover as far as groundbreaking news and stuff, but there's some interesting things. And I guess we'll kind of just start it right off the bat with Jen Psaki versus RFK Jr. And this is an interesting one. You guys know I don't have any love lost for Jen Psaki. Jen Psaki. Not my favorite person, but she did have, once again, in the effort to learn from multiple people, because here's the thing. If I would never listen to Bill Maher, and I refuse to listen to Bill Maher, I would miss out on a ton of great content from Bill. And I've been listening to him since I was a kid, and he was back on ABC. It must be 35 years now, something like that. Maybe even longer. However long it's been. It seems like forever and a day, but I've always enjoyed Bill. And Jon Stewart is someone who I really didn't watch. I didn't like his spin. And even though he said, "Hey, well, I'm balanced," you're not really balanced. He was always Obama this, Obama that. And when he left late his Comedy Central show, he went through and did some amazing things for 9/11 victims and burn pit victims, and wound up getting veterans in a god-awful amount of money that they deserved. And to me, that is commendable. Now, it doesn't make up for a lifetime of being wishy-washy, but when I look at him, he went after people who truly deserve to be sought after, like Bill O'Reilly. Like I thought the no spin zone, what a blatant lie that was. And I would love their back and forth, but the one thing I always found about Jon is that he was always sarcastic. But because of what he did with the burn pits, and because I watched some of those things that he did in those bills that got passed for 9/11 victims, it made me realize, all right, well, I'm going to listen to what he has to say. And then I started listening to what he said about COVID and the vaccine. And I was like, oh, really kind of enjoying listening to what he has to say. And this is the same thing with RFK. And whether I agree with it or not is immaterial. It's the fact that if I wouldn't have listened, I would have missed out on what he did on Monday night, which was come back to Comedy Central. And the liberals are pissed off. So we're going to talk about that tonight. And then a blast from the past, Steve Garvey, a name I haven't heard in 45 years. Well, maybe a little bit, maybe 40 years, because I'm about to turn 50. So I used to go to Dodger games all incessantly. Like Dodger dogs were like a second staple food for us because we would go and watch the Los Angeles Dodgers. And I grew up with the greats, Orel Hershiser, Kirk Gibson, Ron Say, Steve Garvey, Steve Yeager. Chuck Yeager. Yeah, he went the sound barrier. Vladimir Guerrero. Steve Sachs. So many. I can't even begin. Eddie Robertson. Just all of them. Oh, Dusty Baker. And the great thing is that I've met Dusty Baker twice in my life. I met him with Vin Scully when I was like 8 years old. And then I got to meet him like when I was 49, 48 at the Washington Nationals Houston Astros game. And he came in from the dugout and I said, Dusty, I got your autograph when I was like 8 and now I'm giving it to my son. And he's just like, oh, that is so, and he got a little tear in his eye, dude. And I'm just like, Dusty freaking Baker, man. And he's like, that's awesome. And I said, my dad passed. He was a big fan and he loved Vin Scully too. And he's like, Scully, oh, is there anyone better? And I'm just like, Dusty freaking Baker, Hall of Famer, Hall of Fame coach, is sitting here talking to me. And it was a great time. So the reason why I bring it up is Steve Garvey, who was just a Kodak moment type guy, real short guy. But man, he had forearms the size of my calves. I mean, he was huge, and he was a great player. Well, he's running for Senate, and he is going against, tell me the Avs scored. Thank you, God. 1-0. I bet it's McKinnon. And he's running for Senate against Adam Schiff. And honestly, Steve Garvey is extremely loved. Like, he's a well-known Dodger, and he's right up there. And certainly not a Oral Hershiser or Fernando Valenzuela or Sandy Koufax type, but he is a really well-known California baseball player, and people like him, and he's got a look about him, and he looks like Captain Steve Rogers, man. He looks like Captain America type. Like he would be in the Wonder Woman TV show from the 70s. Is he just has that look. You know, when he smiles, he's got a little gleam on his teeth type thing. So anyway, we're going to talk about him. And he went after Schiff. So it's a fun night. It's a night that I get to kind of control. And I like these. These nights aren't distracting. Sometimes it's hard with Liv and try to keep everyone included. So I like the solo nights. I miss it. I love the recorded show that goes this way. And it's nice to be able to be with you tonight. I got to call out Steve, who is just an amazing dude. And he's over at Fat Straps. And if you haven't seen Fat Straps FPV, you should. He got us all buttons and made buttons for everybody. And this is the second night talking about them. Don't Unfriend Me buttons, Still Point buttons. They're amazing. And everyone who ordered the Documents of Freedom collection behind me, the book back there, the green book with the blue wooden border, got some of these buttons, and we include them with every order. So if you haven't had a chance to see it yet, when you get your order, you'll get one of those buttons. So thank him for that. And then also, last thing before we get started, I wanted to go ahead and thank Alan Donovan, who is a good dude. He did the show for the last 2 days, and we did a recording in part 1 and part 2. Part 1, people are like, oh my God, it was heartbreaking, it was heart-wrenching. And then part 2, they're like, oh, it had a happy ending and it was awesome. So a lot of people had a lot of nice things to say. And I think you should go watch it if you haven't had a chance. And of course, Facebook is throttling it because it's a video. Do me a favor, go watch it on Spreely instead. Just Spreely.tv, give it a shot. It's a great platform. Spreely.video, you can go over there and watch it and all that stuff. So, yes, Amy, you got buttons. So let's rock and roll. I got to have a still point button. I will remember that. Ramon, you got to answer your email. If you guys got to check your email, because you make sure you do this. When you order something from the site, leave your phone number, leave your email. Because if you don't, I can't get in touch with you and I have questions. Ramon, I canceled your first order because it didn't have the Documents of Freedom wood. And then I just kept your second order, and that's what I'm shipping you. I hope that's okay. I may have given you a still point button. I can't remember. If not, I'll get you on the next order. All right? Okay, great. So let's get into it. We've got, like I said, way too much to do. We're going to get into Jen Psaki. We're going to watch this video, and I want you to kind of swallow your bile. I'm not a Jen Psaki fan, and I don't like her. But I really want you to listen to what she has to say, not because it's valuable, but because there is a very strong fear of RFK for the Democrats. And the reason why is they keep saying that he is going to poll Trump voters. This isn't true. There are disenfranchised Trump voters who are upset with Trump about the vaccine and COVID, and those people are already gone. Those people have already left the party or come back. And they're not going to vote for anybody. They may vote for RFK. And honestly, that happens every single election. People are disenfranchised. Some come aboard, some leave, some stay on. But this is interesting because we've all seen what's happened in previous elections with third-party candidates. For instance, Ross Perot took it away from Bush and gave it to Clinton. Hands down, Ross Perot was the reason. And then you go ahead and take a look at Jill Stein, who completely destroyed Hillary Clinton. Everyone think it was the Comey investigation, although that was part of it. It truly came down to Jill Stein took almost 7% of the vote away from Hillary Clinton, and it crushed Hillary. This happens. Kasich took quite a few votes away from Trump in 2020, even as a secondary party and a write-in candidate. So third-party candidates can make a difference. And in this case, RFK has the Kennedy name, and he did a Super Bowl commercial. I don't know if you saw it, but I'm a Kennedy buff, not a RFK, but a JFK. And I've seen that commercial. In fact, there's not much I haven't seen based on John F. Kennedy. And he took this nostalgic commercial that John ran on and decided to put his face in it. And first of all, it's not that it's disrespectful. It's just a little eerie. It's a little weird. And the methodology is almost like Make America Great Again, right? So it's like, let's go back to the days of Kennedy and all this other stuff when huge amounts of change happened, standing up against the communists, not necessarily trying to get in the forever wars and standing up against the machine to go into Vietnam, civil rights, blah, 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 the fall of the Klan, the rise of Martin Luther King, the Beatles, John Lennon, all this amazing change in our country. And he is trying to embody that. It's very interesting. So let's watch this, and we'll watch a little bit of the commercial and tell me what you think, and then we can talk about it on the other end. And I'm going to hit Jen on one major topic. Here it is. Son of a bitch. I did it again. Sorry, there's my one cuss word for the night. If I do it again, please put me in the naughty jar.
Quickly jump into the...
Everyone said I got to be over at Spreely. They're like, listen, you can cuss, just advertisers won't come around sometimes. And I'm like, well, that's the way you get me to motivate. It is money. So hold on a second. Let me get this up here. All right, here we go.
Political fray for good reason. But last night, one certainly did. A super PAC supporting independent presidential candidate and well-known anti-vaxxer, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., effectively copied one of the most iconic political ads of all time. An ad for RFK Jr.'s uncle, by the way, President John F. Kennedy. Now, as you can see, the shots were pretty much lifted and re-edited from the original campaign ad from 1960, except, of course, with RFK Jr.'s picture superimposed in the place of JFK's. So it's pretty clear that it was intentionally trying to capitalize on the candidate's very famous last name. Let's just say the Kennedy family didn't exactly appreciate the linkage. Bobby Shriver, who's the son of Eunice Kennedy, had this to say last night on Twitter. My cousin's Super Bowl ad used our uncle's faces and my mother's. She would be appalled by his deadly healthcare views. Respect for science, vaccines, and healthcare equity were in her DNA. She strongly supported my healthcare work at the One campaign and Red, which he opposes. Now, given RFK Jr.'s extremist views on vaccines, the family has good reason, of course, to be so appalled. When it comes to political dynasties, the Kennedys have long been a part of not just the political conversation, but they've also led the fight for better health care. They've promoted modern medicine and advanced medical research, efforts that they continue with many generations of Kennedys today. When it comes to RFK Jr.'s bid for president, what's even more jarring than all of that is perhaps the kind of people who have been pushing and, most importantly, pay attention to this part, funding his candidacy. Because it all seemed to start with Trump ally Steve Bannon.
Thanks, Jason. I appreciate you telling me the score, man. I always appreciate you keep me up on my hockey. Avs are in a bit of a slump. They were cruising, best team since December. Then they hit the All-Star game, and it's just, listen, I think this team understands they're not looking for first place. They know what that's like. They want to have some gas in the tank, but I think they're letting their foot off the gas a little too much. Jason, thanks for telling me. 2, Bubba, I got your refund back. I think I got $7, $8 in a refund coming back for your code for the Dumb Nation store. Just wanted to let you know before you got off. All right.
That's Steve Bannon. There's only one, who encouraged Kennedy to run for months before he finally declared. Why? because Bannon believed Kennedy would be a useful, quote, chaos agent who could stoke anti-vax sentiment in the 2024 race. How dark is that? In fact, RFK Jr. was reportedly approached by Trump's advisors about joining the Republican ticket as Trump's running mate. Yes,
oh my gosh.
Something that Steve Bannon said, by the way, would help Trump win in a massive landslide over Joe Biden. Likewise, RFK Jr. has been embraced by Trump's donors, always follow the money, including Timothy Mellon, a guy who gave, by the way, $20 million to groups supporting Trump.
That's like a Democrat starting point, $20 million. Please. How much did Zuckerberg give to Democrats? How much did Soros give to Democrats? How much did United Capital give to Democrats? Give me a break.
2020.
How much did Planned Parenthood give? That's what I want to know.
In dollars. He already has donated at least $15 million to a super PAC supporting Kennedy. And yes, that's the very same super PAC that paid probably $7 million for the Super Bowl ad. In other words, MAGA Republicans are propping up the campaign of a fringe candidate, anti-vaxxer, who happens to have a very famous last name, falsely portraying him, by the way, as the legitimate heir to the Kennedy legacy. In reality, Robert Kennedy Jr. may be a spoiler who could tip the election in Trump's favor, especially in certain states where the Kennedy name is still very popular. His candidacy is an affront to his own family, not to mention an insult to the legacy of JFK.
All right, now here's the port. Now, all of the rest of that is all supposition. There's a couple quotes. You got the Shrivers involved, of course, the Schwarzeneggers and the Shrivers. These are the fake Kennedys. These are the Kennedys that married into it. Really, any of the important Kennedys are dead. I just want to tell you, they either got them all or they've went into obscurity. This is ridiculous. The Kennedys are completely non-existent to who they used to be. So who cares? And as far as this Camelot thing, I've never bought into it. We're not a royalty. I don't give a crap. I don't want to hear the name Kennedy. I don't want to hear the name Clinton. I don't want to hear the name Bush. I don't want to hear Obama. And after Trump's done in the next 4 years, I don't want to hear Trump ever again. I don't want to see Don Jr. I don't want to see Ivanka. I don't want any of them. Okay. I don't want Barron in 25, 30 years. 35 years. I don't care. I don't want royalty. I don't want the first family. Okay. So give me new, fresh blood with people who are going to do something. I don't care about the rest. But this part right here really pisses me off. She's entitled to her opinion. By the way, she looks very pleasant. She looks like she's gotten some rest. Good for her. I've made fun of her. I said she basically looks a step down or two from Carrot Top, but she looks very nice. I don't understand the crushed velvet jacket, but whatever. It's really not me, but good for her. And her presentation, although skews in the portions of being, hypocritical and a little bit of the sky is falling with liberals, this isn't the worst thing she's ever said. But this right here pisses me off, and I'm going to tell you why. So here it is.
In a speech to Democrats back in 1961, President Kennedy issued a prescient warning about the dangers of conspiracy-minded members of the political fringe.
No, he didn't. In fact, I have read that speech. I have done a dissertation on that speech. I have used that speech multiple times. And the reason why is that I have a very estranged relative who was there. And I asked this for one of my school papers when I did this on this particular speech because it was so intriguing. And the reason why is because, well, we don't need to go into a whole bunch. I wasn't alive during this time, obviously. I was born in 1974. This was 1961. And I would be a time traveler if I ever heard Kennedy speak. But most importantly, the entire premise of the speech is actually one of his best. The Berliner speech is probably right up there. But this one was kind of, there is a recording of it. You haven't heard it, but it doesn't have the entire thing in its entirety, but it's really good. But I'll explain it to you. I'll tell you what it's about. But let's let her finish, and then we're going to jump all over it.
In the most critical periods of our nation's history, there have always been those on the fringes of our society who have sought to escape their own responsibility by finding a simple solution, an appealing slogan, or a convenient scapegoat. At times, these fanatics have achieved a temporary success among those who lack the will or the wisdom to face unpleasant facts or unsolved problems.
Now, RFK Jr., a member of his own family, may have become the very thing that President Kennedy warned us about more than 6 decades ago. So,
see, this is the problem that I have with the media. It took you absolutely no investment whatsoever. You put no skin in the game whatsoever to garner and redistribute and disseminate that information. You found a quote in obscurity that most people aren't going to remember, and anybody who was there is more than likely no longer living. Or so old it doesn't matter. The only person that I can think of is Joe Biden. And he was, I think, 86 at the time in 1961. So he was there, but that's about it. And for people to say, wow, John F. Kennedy had the presence of mind to notice that the fringe right wing, the fascists were going to come and take over the MAGA supporters. And Kennedy warned us. Actually, Kennedy warned us about something completely different than that. And we'll talk about it. In fact, he warned us about Democrats. Because John F. Kennedy believed in the Second Amendment. He believed in the right to carry. John F. Kennedy believed in limited government. John F. Kennedy did not believe in forever wars. In fact, he stood in front of the Joint Chiefs and said, no Vietnam. And it's probably what got him killed based upon the amount of money that was involved in the Vietnam War, $333 billion some odd dollars for defense contractors. We're talking McDonnell Douglas, Huey, Bell, Grumman, all of them, from the F-14 to the A-6 Intruder to the Huey choppers to the rockets to the M-16s, all of it was an absolute gold mine for the United States. And it very well should have been, considering that we are in a borderline recession and possible depression based upon the government spending that was taking place by expanding Social Security to blacks and minorities. Civil rights created a lot of forbearance on the government, not just because of the simple things of having more people to supply for, but you increase the Social Security pool. You increase the overall food stamps and WIC and support when you expand rights to everybody. When you give them government support, it completely changes the way and face. The additional security that college campuses had to have, restaurants had to have. I mean, the amount of violence that took place just simply because an African-American was walking down the street in a white part of the neighborhood, everything kind of changed with Kennedy saying, we are going to put the status quo on its ear. So when you look at what Kennedy wanted to do, he was a religious man. He had so many character traits that align with conservatism. And this is why a lot of people didn't like him. And that's why he needed LBJ desperately in the South. Desperately. In order to go ahead and win Texas, which gave him the election. Kennedy today would not be a MAGA conservative. No. Everyone always says that. Well, if Kennedy was alive today, he'd be a Republican. No, he wouldn't. No, he would probably be an independent, just like RFK. And would he believe in the vaccine? I don't know, man. John F. Kennedy was afraid of modern medicine. He may as well have been just to have a Christian Science type mentality towards medication. The only thing that John F. Kennedy truly delved in was whiskey and pills because of his back. He was chronic back pain. I was talking about it last night. Horrible back pain. To the point where he had to have a wooden plank in his back for a lot of his driving around or on the Air Force One or wherever in order to help him stand. If he would get on the floor and he would do that to stretch out his back and the kids would come and play, he wouldn't be able to get up. Secret Service would have to help get him up. So John F. Kennedy had an aversion because he didn't want to go under the knife. He didn't want to go for surgery. And he took the least amount of medication to do what he needed to do in order to survive. So would he have been a proponent? I don't know. But would he have abstained? I don't know either. But the point is, you can't create a singularity like the vaccine in order to define whether he's like RFK or not. You have to look at RFK's policies. And although RFK has a lot of policies that his uncle didn't. One is abortion. John F. Kennedy didn't believe in abortion. He was a Catholic. The right gun rights for every American. RFK says now that he is, but he doesn't. He hates guns. He doesn't like guns. He's talked more crap about guns. So although that's what you should look at, and Jen Psaki should be doing a better job. Instead of saying he made a speech one time, and because I've gone ahead and sewn the lines of delineation and tied sinew to RFK being a conspiracy theorist, well, now your uncle absolved you and basically excommunicated you from the family in a speech in 1961. And he was prognosticating about you, RFK, and she tried to make that stick, and it doesn't work because that speech wasn't about conspiracy theory. It wasn't about fascism. In fact, it was the opposite. It was about communism and socialism. And the reason why Kennedy talked about that is he was absolutely found communism and socialism to be abhorrent, even though he was soft on communism. He was. He never stood up to Russia. He made under-table dealings, him and Bobby. He was never hard on communism. And even when it came to Vietnam, the Bay of Pigs, all of these things, he balked. He didn't want to get involved in the Bay of Pigs. He didn't want to go into Cuba. In fact, he didn't even greenlight Cuba. Joint Chiefs greenlit that, and so did the CIA, and he was furious, and that's why he went and splintered most of the intel heads in the alphabet agencies. He traded missiles with Khrushchev in Turkey and Cuba. Trident and Minuteman missiles. He basically let Cuba go ahead and stand down and remove those missiles. He opened up the trade blockades into Cuba, and then 6 months later removed the missiles from Turkey, and we've been begging for that ever since. So when we talk about this speech, I want to break it down for you, okay? Kennedy, when he was talking about the challenges addressing the nation, he was cautioning extremism and fear-mongering. That's what he was focused on. He felt that there was a very large push with McCarthyism to do the Red Scare. And although McCarthy wound up being right in a lot of ways, Kennedy was a proponent of let's wait and see. He was, the sky isn't always falling. He rejected the notion completely, 100% without equivocation, that the threat did not come from within our own country. That there was nothing in the United States to be threatened by, that there were groups who supported socialism and communism and whatever, and totalitarianism, but these groups were not something to be concerned with, because there's always a sense of an element that pushes back inside your country, no matter how free it may be. He advocated for preparedness and international cooperation. He called for unity and confidence and focus on common goals rather than suspicion and division and those type of things. That wasn't a part of him. He was forever an optimist. And at the end of the speech, he concluded with reaffirmation of faith and liberty and a call to work together for greater good and the nation and the world. Ask not what you can do for your country was not a part of this speech, but that was always his sentiment. You should always do more for your country. John F. Kennedy wasn't talking about the raging Red Army. He wasn't talking about Hollywood. He was talking about people who were turning against each other in the streets based upon racial identity. He was talking about people who were segregating themselves based upon class, based upon economic stability or instability, putting railroad tracks in the road because based on somebody's color, that this is the poor side and this is the rich side. He said that those things were important, but they weren't what made up America. It was a very small dichotomous portion of the United States. He was worried about the outside influences. He was worried about these countries who wanted to destroy America, kill America. And he was worried that we were going out too far, too fast, and reaching and making too many enemies in the world, something we didn't learn from World War II and World War I. John F. Kennedy wasn't talking about MAGA extremists. And for Jen Psaki to sit here and make that correlation means that A, she needs to study history, and two, for probably the most influential liberal president that we have had ever in John F. Kennedy, who wasn't a very good president, was just extremely influential to the party and brought people into politics who never would have ever been involved in politics based upon the Camelot and the family and his looks and his identity and the glitz and glamour. Yes, these things made a difference. You have some presidents who go to Vermont. You have some presidents who vacation in Morocco or Monaco. That was Kennedy. So there was a prestige and allure from people who just loved him. And it's interesting because Democrats would loathe him now. They would say he's a billionaire and his family's a billionaire, and he would be excommunicated as somebody who doesn't equally distribute his wealth. A completely different thing than what it is today. So for Jen Psaki to sit there and say that speech is specifically, just for everyone who's looking, 1961 Democratic donors speech, California, and I'll find it for you. I read it today and I went through it again, and I hadn't touched it in years, but it's a fantastic speech, and absolutely not. It was even a fundraiser for Democrats, and of course he could have went in there and said the sky was falling and all. He didn't do that, and that wasn't what he was about. So anyway, just something to think about. Jen Psaki, yeah, I'm glad she's not looking like a worn foot. I'm glad she's trying to make some sense. And although her full video had some logic in it, and I could understand where she's coming from, she ruins it at the end when she just, with no investment, grabs some random speech. It's like white people who go ahead and take a line out of Martin Luther King, I Have a Dream speech, every year during Martin Luther King, and have never read the whole thing. And in all the times that they snapshot that one quote just to post it on Facebook or send it to a friend, and they never actually read the whole speech, it bothers me. I think there's something, it's like listening to a couple chords in a song and think you understand Mozart's Great Mass. It's like reading, War and Peace on the front cover and then trying to give me a book report on it. It's impossible. There's no effort. There's no investment on your part. And it's lazy, and I can't stand it when people do that. Yep, I knew Mayorkas has been impeached. Breaking news. Here, I guess I can use my breaking news slide. Here we go. There we go. See, and I'll even fit it out. Mayorkas impeached. There we go. Boom. All right. What was so it was, I can't, it's got to be like 212 to, well, I don't know, 215. Someone tell me the number. House votes to impeach Mayorkas. What was the final vote total? What was the final vote total? Help me out, somebody. Someone help me out. Mayorkas, 214 to what? 216, 214, 213, 214, 217, 215. What was it? Help me out. Come on, people now. Come on. Someone give me the numbers. If you don't do it, I'm going to put, I heard 218 for the win. 214 to 213. That makes more sense. It was only one vote. It was going to be Scalise. 214 to 213. Scalise deciding vote, I'm assuming. I'm almost positive. Someone tell me if I'm wrong. All right, Mayorkas impeached. All right, so let's go. Since we're in the middle of it, let's see if we got the vote. We'll do some breaking news. There we go. I expected this. Here it is. Let's see. Is this a little bit longer?
On this vote, the yeas are 214 and the nays are 213. The resolution is adopted.
So Mayorkas is impeached. So what does that mean? What does that mean? Does anybody want to tell me? What does that mean? And if you don't know, then the problem is that once again, politicians have not done their job in informing you. So what does it mean? So he's impeached. So is it like the president? Does it go to the Senate and they get to decide if he is removed? Is there a criminal proceeding? Is that it? Does he have to clear out his debts? Does anyone know? I do. The question is, do you? Because it's not about me. If only you had your documents of freedom books. You could pull out your Constitution of the United States and look it up in your beautiful documents of freedom. What does it mean? What does it mean? Does it mean that there's going to be criminal proceedings now? Does it mean what? What does it mean? And if you don't know, you have to ask yourself why. Is it that important to you? Is this important to you, Mayorkas being removed? Is it going to get the wall built? No. Are they going to get border reform? No. Are they going to expand the border patrol? No. Are they going to agree on a deal before 2024? No. So what does it matter? What does it matter? That's why we're here, Matt, so you can tell us. I'll tell you what it's going to do. It's going to go to the Senate. It's going to die in the Senate. This is nothing. And this is the problem when an administration doesn't have a mandate. Right. This is just a middle finger. This is they can't impeach Biden, so they're going after Mayorkas because they know that it's going to give Biden a push in the polls, and they don't want him to get a push. They want him to continue to hang himself. So they're not going to impeach. I told you they would never impeach Biden during this. The only time, January 20th, they'll start impeachment proceedings against Joe Biden if he wins. Listen, I can't just keep telling you, just listen to me, folks. So stop making me say it. Everyone told me they're going to impeach him, but no, they didn't. They're not going to impeach him, Biden. Why would they? That's the dumbest thing they could possibly do. I told you, all they got to do is just wait. He's going to Jimmy Carter himself. That's what he's done. Why would you stop somebody from literally beating the hell out of themselves? It's like Jim Carrey in Liar, Liar. I'm kicking my ass. Joe Biden's kicking his own ass. Why would you stop that? Why would you impeach him? Leave him alone. You know what's better than impeachment? Him getting kicked out. Having the American public vote him out. Now, if he gets elected again, January 2020, 2025, he's out. They're going after him. They're going to impeach his ass. And by that time, who cares? You've already bled all over the place. There's nothing you can do. So why would you go ahead? Can they impeach Kamala for the border? Why? What? Why? What? It's not going to pass the Senate, y'all. They can impeach anyone for it. You can impeach anyone. It's a parking ticket. It's not even a parking ticket. You can impeach anyone for anything. Are you kidding me? There doesn't need to be any evidence. That's what an impeachment proceeding is, folks. It's designed simply to... It's designed simply as a discovery process. That's what it's for. I'm trying to see if I can loop this. I can't. I could if it was whatever. So who cares? This is useless. It's never going to pass the Senate. It's never going to be unanimous. No one is ever going to support this. So who cares? So we can pretend all we want, but it's not going to make a difference. So they impeached Mayorkas. Great. How about you get some legislation passed? How about you guys propose single proportioned bills? How about we stop this grab ass with $95 billion, which isn't going to pass the House anyway? The House is going to punish the Senate. Don't you understand? The only way that Mayorkas is going to be impeached is if the Republicans go to this $96 billion bill and say, we'll sign your bill, but you got to impeach Mayorkas. That's the only way. See, the thing that people don't get about Washington is that this whole dichotomy of left versus right may work with us, where we can hate each other and we can continue to pontificate and espouse aspersions on each other until the cows come home and slap each other on Facebook and all this stuff. And that's fine. We can do that, but politicians can't. The reason why is because they never get anything done. They never get anything done. And unless you trade ponies, you're not going to get anything done. So here's what you do. Matt Gaetz has been saying it, even though I don't love Matt Gaetz all the time. But he said it the right way. Single issue bills. And if those things aren't directly related, let me give you an example. You want to go ahead and you want to do a subsidized number of dollars to stimulate the low cost of corn. Allergies are just freaking beaver hair brush. Ow. It's a little stiff. Okay. And when you just numb your nose beyond recognition, it works. Okay, so you're talking about a situation where you've got Mayorkas, you've got this bill, they want the border done, they want to fund Israel and Ukraine, and Democrats are like, well, we'll just go ahead and fund it. And Republicans are like, no, we're going to hang the border over your head, which they should. If Democrats were serious about getting the border done, they would propose a bill that was only for the border. But this is an example. Say you want to subsidize corn because overall production on high fructose corn syrup and corn byproduct is just lost its bottom. And instead of getting it for $7 a bushel, it's $4.95 a bushel. I don't even know if these prices are correct. Who cares? That's not what it's about. So the government comes in and says, we're going to subsidize $3.25 of that in order to turn a profit for agricultural production in these three states based upon their corn productivity in order to get them to next harvest. Okay. Then they're going to go ahead and vote for 3 water aqueducts within those 3 states and put that on the bill too, because ultimately it affects irrigation and the overall agriculture. Then they're going to talk about redistribution of other states pitching in for potash and fertilizer and everything else because the overall productivity is low because of Russia and Ukraine. Okay? So those 3 things are all in the same bill. What you don't do is put on a bill the overall cost of duck pate, the overall renovation of asbestos in buildings, not from pre-72, but 75 to 77, and then go ahead and make a crosswalking law to increase the ticket for jaywalking across all cities to 25% more, and then fund the Mars program for the next decade. That's what you don't do. And that's what they do all the damn time. And duck pate and salmon streams and repopulating the brown Tuscanese panda koala bear might be something that's important, but honestly, I don't give a crap. And stop mixing your Chinese food with my barbecue. I have no desire to see Italian with my my Hawaiian chicken. You're throwing me curveballs. You're putting ketchup on my ice cream. What the hell are you doing? If you're not throwing some whipped cream and some pecan and nuts and a cherry on top, get that crap away from my ice cream. Not that I eat ice cream, but if I did, I would say that. Right. Tom's like, your example includes water. Right. Exactly. That's my point. So the ties of delineation that they make with these bills is just stupid. Listen to me. At the very simplest level, you have a federal spending, which is going to be the border. And you have a national spending, which is going to be the border. And then you have a global initiative, which is stockpiling Ukraine and Israel. But because we're supposedly stockpiling our depleted munitions, it somehow is relevant to a national and federal bill. Because let me tell you what's going to happen. You know what the Democrats are saying? I don't know what these Republicans' problems are. We're out of rockets. We're out of bullets. We're out of shells. We're out of artillery. We're out of this. We're out of bombs. So let me get this straight. We're out. We don't have enough to defend ourselves because you've given them to Ukraine and Israel and 16 other countries that we're not even mentioning, by the way. And you're going to use that money to make more so you can give them back to Ukraine and Israel and the 16 other countries? See, the Democrats are stupid. And the reason why they're stupid is they don't just say the truth. We're too far gone. We're at the point of no return. We put in $150 billion. If Ukraine falls now, we're going to have to spend $1 trillion to stop Russia from going anywhere closer to Poland and NATO. So it's either do this now and realize that, yes, we're spending too much. Yes, we got into another conflict. Yes, we made a mistake. Here's what we need to finish this damn thing. Here's the dollar amount, and we're going to sign a declaration that not one more penny goes, and we will not punt it. We will put the filibuster on it, and we will make it a 60-40 vote as needed in order to get a single dollar out of the House and Senate ever again. This is what we need. We need $180 billion for the American people over the next 2 years, and then we're pulling out to win. They won't do it because they know they won't do it. They are trying to sell you that Ukraine is winnable. You're going to tell me that Ukraine can beat, overthrow, and install a second proxy government to take over Russia, and that they're going to take Moscow and the Kremlin? You are absolutely mentally, you have your head so far up your posterior, you can almost see light. Anyone that sits here and says Ukraine is winning, I'm not even going to insult you. I don't want to hurt your feelings. You're not working with a full deck. You're a couple cans short of a six-pack. Clothes aren't clean. Laundry day. Clothes aren't clean. Laundry day. Clothes aren't clean, right? Yeah, man, this guy's a couple cans short of a six-pack. By the way, it's Bill Paxton. Go back to Terminator 1. He's one of the punk rockers. He's the one that takes the fist in the gut that Arnold pulls out and it's covered with like kidney red blood. That's Bill Paxton. Screw you, man. That guy. Phase plasma rifle, 40 watt range. Just what you see, pal. Sarah Connor? Why, yes. Come with me if you want to live. Get down! Who is your daddy? What does he do? Get to the chopper. Anyway, so couple cans short of a six-pack. Not working with a full deck. Not the sharpest tools in the shed. Ukraine's not going to win. Mayorkas is not going to be removed. Senate's not going to give it to him. The only way is if they make this deal and then they do a backdoor deal to go ahead and vote for Mayorkas out. That's the only way. That's it. It's not going to happen. Get down. Get down again. Get that action. Get down. More action. Get down again. I can even do the more action guy. More action. It's like the ESPN guy. Have you ever heard him? Listen to this guy. When they do those little commercials where they show the game from afar and they just put a little text overlay on the screen, and the guy's like, brought to you by Mylanta. That's the ESPN guy. Listen to it, and you're like, oh my God, it sounds just like Matt did. I never recognize it. I hate that guy's voice. Brought to you by Michelin Tires. That guy. Listen to him. Next time you watch ESPN, you're like, oh, Matt said it. He told me. Nothing's going to happen. Folks, quick commercial. Be right back. Hey, what's going on, Donut Friendly Nation? Matthew Spear from the Donut Friendly podcast. It's interesting. I've had these books for, 3 years now, and I've got, 3. Brought to you by the Documents of Freedom. Independent books of the Declaration, the Bill of Rights, and the Constitution of the United States that I inherited from my mother. Leather-bound, beautiful, and they're older books, 1935, 1937, something to that effect. I'll show them on the show, but people see me reference these nightly on the show. And the interesting thing is I've never really put 2 and 2 together. We have a website, and someone asked last night, hey, how the heck do I get those books? Where do I get those books? And it dawned on me, where do you get those wonderful toys? Me that I should provide these. So they are now on sale. They're beautiful books. They're leatherette books. They're hardback, which is nice. They don't have a dust cover or anything. I've used these, like I said, ad nauseum, and they hold up and they stand the test of time. They've got pictures of the framers, founders, inside the books. They make references with different colors to kind of explain things in a little bit of a simpler way or give some context. But these books, word for word, are the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and the Declaration of Independence. They are absolutely stunning. You get each book individually for $15.99. Show.com. We also have a bundle over there where you can save. That was 2-day-old coffee. Woo! I'll put some hair on your chest. I'll tell you what. Yeehaw! Wow. 2-day-old coffee. Everyone saw that too. I'm like, I'm going to reach way over here because I don't have any more water. And I'm like, I'm going to try. Oh, God. Wow. I think something was moving in there. $5 on all 3 for $44.99. And last but not least, the pictures you've just been looking at and the video is the Documents of Freedom, custom made by PFC Flags, comes in an amazing, beautiful, decorative box for $64.99. Stop by thedumshow.com and take a look. They're available right now. Two are left. 2. Utah, give me 2. That's all we got. We got 2 left. We sold out. I don't have any more. I'm going to have to go to Jason and have him make more, but we got 2 left. So if you're interested, you better order now. It's right there for you. All right, going to the next one. Former Dodger challenges Senate race. I'll tell you what, I'm excited to do this one. I was pretty excited to do this one. And the reason
on this vote.
Whoa, easy. Reason I wanted to do this is because one is I can't stand Adam Shifter. Can't stand this guy. I despise him. Now, here's the thing. I didn't look if Garvey is running as a Republican or a Democrat. I would assume he's running as a Republican. You guys can educate me. It doesn't matter. I don't care. I like what he says. I love what he says. And I'm a huge fan of anybody who tells the truth, and it starts with the Constitution of the United States. I want you to listen to this video. I want to get your opinion on it. Tell me what you think. Here it is.
Ms. Porter.
Excuse me.
Ms. Porter,
can you vote my name?
we'll give you 15 seconds.
No, sir. The greatest single threat to democracy is deconstruction of the Constitution, packing the court, doing away with the filibuster. These are things that deconstruct democracy. And you, sir, have been the advocate of this.
Donald Trump packed the Supreme Court, which is why millions of Americans lost their right of reproductive freedom, why the Supreme Court is striking down air quality and water.
Nobody lost their reproductive freedom, number one. Number two, Donald Trump didn't pack anything. Donald Trump inherited his picks. Period.
Why it is, you said voting rights were the most fundamental thing.
There again.
This
Mr. Schiff,
is
let him answer
striking
the
down
question.
voting
Let him
rights.
answer the
Adam,
question. Mr. Schiff, let him
You're
answer the question.
fixated on one person and one person only.
Mr. Garvey. Ms. Porter.
Excuse me.
I'll take Steve Garvey for 200, please. The problem with Democrats is that they could run on a few things. They could run on the budget and the budget deficit that Republicans have overspend. And Democrats could just do something like this. Everyone knows we overspend. Everyone knows that we raise taxes, but at least we don't lie to you about it. At least it's baked with the pie. You want to look at foreign wars and foreign conflicts since Vietnam? Every single one of them have been started by Republicans. Now, some of those reasons, like 2000, 9/11, we understand. Had to go into Afghanistan. Had to answer. But did we need to go into Iraq? Every single Republican since Vietnam, every single conflict has been started by Republicans. Now, is that true? Kind of. But you can talk about the 16 other nations that Obama was proxy. But if you want to talk about open conflicts, the ones you know about, you're not going to talk about Mogadishu unless you're ex-military. There's plenty of people who would. There's nobody here's going to talk about Bosnia, Herzegovina. Nobody's going to talk about Morocco. Well, not Morocco, but no, and no. Portugal. Nobody's going to sit here and talk about Egypt. Nobody, maybe a few might talk about Libya, but they'll be thinking of like Libya 1980, Gaddafi and Ronald Reagan Libya. But you look at every major conflict, Republicans own it. They do. They own it. They can hit Republicans on their inability to open up the umbrella to bring in other groups of people. They can talk about their stances against LGBTQ and say that Democrats embraced it quicker than they did. And they did. Democrats saw the bellwether. They knew that the LGBTQ community was going to be over 3.3% of the population. They saw the trends and said, we better start curtailing, just like they went ahead and did it with the South. And they started going ahead and pandering to the blacks and giving them free stuff. That's what they did. We know that's what they did. I mean, we can sit here and talk about what the Republicans have done. We can talk about the vaccines. We can talk about overall spending. We can talk about all those things. Democrats don't do that. The only thing they do is talk about Donald Trump. And Republicans better not get into this trap of only talking about Biden's age, because if Biden leaves, if Biden has a horrible accident, God forbid, if Biden just decides not to run, the Republicans are screwed. Screwed. Because the only thing we're running on right now is he's too old. You should be running on the border. You should be running on fentanyl. You should be running on Afghanistan. You should be running on overall cost of food, steak, inflation. What happens after we get out of this bubble? What happens when the government doesn't have any oil reserves left to drive overall costs of oil? What happens if the market is flooded again? What happens if the price is stimulated based upon devaluing the American dollar or currency manipulation from China or Saudi Arabia? What happens to OPEC? What happens to our dollar? There's questions we have to have. What's going to happen to businesses? What's going to happen to small businesses? What's going to happen to the jobs report when we get level with COVID and you realize that these actual jobs, that there's people who just left the market, who are like me, who have worked his entire life and just left the job market, got out and said, I'm never doing this again. I am done going with a job, restarting, working my ass off 3 years, giving them everything they want, and then them going, hey man, you can't be so arrogant. You can't walk around here like your shit doesn't stink. Well, you know what? It does, because you brought me in to fix it. I fixed it, and now you're complaining that I'm arrogant. Well, guess what? I was arrogant the whole time. That's who I am. I come in and I fix broken stuff. I've always done it. I've been the guy who will go anywhere. So it's break him in case of an emergency, and then, okay, now we got to try to put him back together. Matt, we need you to be more of a team player. You didn't need me a team player when you had me go in and fire 32 managers and rebuild the entire team and have half of them arrested. You didn't want me to be a team player. You want to be a team executioner. And now there's still people that need to be checked out, but it makes you uncomfortable. It makes you all gooey in the heart. See, the problem is there's people who are just sick and tired of doing the everyday, driving in the metal coffin, going on the freeway, making the same pittance, when they're like, you know what? We got side hustles in COVID and we can figure this shit out. We can figure this shit out. I was making $150,000 a year plus bonus, vehicle, credit card, expenses, home network paid for, everything paid for. I was clearing $225. I just walked away. I left. I said, I'm done. I'm not going back out and doing it again. I'll get a side hustle. Maybe my wife will start to work. We'll figure it out. But I'm not doing this ever again. I'm not going to go work for somebody ever again. I'm not doing it. I refuse. If anything, I'll give my services and go wait tables. I am done working for major corporations. I've worked for them all and all the good ones. And I'll tell you, there's people out there who just don't want to do this anymore. Because we're told that we have to be all inclusive and worry about diversity and equity and inclusion. Screw that. Get me results. Do your effing job. Sell. Show up on time. Get results. You don't get results. It's not about what have you done for me lately. It's what have you done for me now. And you're only as valuable as your last freaking KPI report. That's just the way it works. It's business. It's not personal. The world needs ditch diggers too. So there are a lot of people in this current market who are not going back to work and they're finding something else to do. Maybe they're creating their own business. Maybe they're doing lawns. I know a couple people are doing lawns, making ungodly amounts of money doing lawns, painting houses, doing driveways and repaving driveways. They're power spraying houses. They're making a killing. A lot of people don't want to go back to work. So what happens when that report comes out? What happens when we can see a continued shrinking workforce? People don't want to get married. They don't want to have kids. They don't want to work. That is the kiss of death for any country. Ask Japan. Japan stopped having kids. They are saying Japan's population is going to decrease by 50% in the next 30 years. 50%. Because the generation is so old and people don't want to have kids. The United States is going down that way. We're going down that way because people are disillusioned with a marriage. People are disillusioned with having sex with a partner they can reproduce with. And people are disillusioned because they can't make ends meet for themselves. How in the hell are they going to bring someone out in the world? It was cute when we had the Hallmark card that said, I couldn't bring a child into this world. I can hardly live in this world. That's gone. That is the sentiment of every young person. I'll never bring a child into this world. Why would I? So for them not to hit that, focus on that, and Republicans hit Biden and say, why are people not having children under the Biden administration? What are you doing for family values? What are you doing to propel forward the patriarch and matriarch, having a father in every single home, especially in the African-American communities? If we're going to allow minorities to come into our country illegally to expand and overall detract from the Ozzie and Harriet lifestyle of the white Caucasian family, then you better be educating the brown and black families that they need to focus on having jobs that sustain, taking care of their neighborhoods, having parents in the home, dissuading people from taking drugs, report it to the police, actually stand up and fight these gangs, fight the criminal unit. If you're going to replace the white predominant Caucasian family and you're going to just replace everybody, which is what's happening, you better go ahead and educate people that it's okay to get married. It's okay to stay in the family. It's okay to raise a child. There's other things you can do besides gangbanging. But here's the problem. If you think crime is bad now, just wait. Because the government has invested a crap ton of money in new builds and predominantly mud-type homes, MDUs, multi-dwelling units, more apartments. A lot of places are building up and not out, which means no more homes, no more ranch-style homes. It's multiple-level, multi-dwelling units, and some of those are subsidized by the government. Equitable housing. When those are full, where do you think people are going to go? How bad do you think the homeless number is going to get in the United States when all the MDUs are taken and nobody can afford a house because of interest rates? Because you have to be a millionaire to get a house now. There's no way I would have gotten this house. The house that cost me $630,000 would cost me $1.1 million now. That is less than 2 years. I've lived in this house for 3 years, actually. $630,000 to $1.1 million. I couldn't afford this house. I can't afford to go anywhere else. You don't think I want to sell this thing and walk away with $400,000, $500,000 and then not worry about capital gains and just invest it and pay it off a nice little 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom home? I can't. There's nowhere to go. You can't go anywhere. There's nothing left. It's been bought up. It's been appropriated by major corporations and bulldozed so they can build MDUs going to the sky, which is great for apartments and great for landlords, but it's not so great for the single, SFU, the single family unit. You can't get anything in West Virginia. I've tried. The interest rates are ungodly. How do I walk away from a 2.25%? I have a 30-year fix 2.25%. How do I walk away from that? I can't walk away from that. How can anyone walk away with that? We're here. They're either going to foreclose on me and I'm moving into an apartment, or that's it. Because there's no way after COVID, my credit and what happened, we all went bankrupt. We all got killed. Every one of us did. Why aren't they talking about that? You want to do debt forgiveness? Take everyone's credit history from 2019, 2020 till 2023 and wipe it clean. Government-forced lockdowns destroyed so many millions of people. Millions of people psychologically, economically, existentially have been destroyed by government lockdowns. It took everything from people. It took my life savings twice. So don't sit here and tell me that Republicans don't have a platform other than Joe Biden's old. But you know what? America has become so myopic and so close-minded and so incapable of actually just processing and disseminating some sort of context that's larger than a 20-second Instagram short, that politicians have now stopped explaining what they're doing, and now they're defending what they're doing. They don't tell us anymore. There's no reason to tell us what they're doing in Ukraine because nobody cares, and people just want to give our money wantingly. You want our taxes? Here you go. Here's some taxes. Do we need a receipt? No, we trust you. Are you kidding me? The savings and loan scandal? The check writing scandal? Secret wars? $7.2 trillion lost over the last 25 years in the national debt because of defense? You trust these people? You give them your taxes with not so much as a buy your leave. And if you don't, you go to jail. You go to prison. They take everything from you. No. There's plenty to run on. The problem is there's no politicians with balls enough to actually run on the things that are important anymore. Nobody wants to run on the platform. They think Americans are stupid. They think you're stupid. And you know what? There's a lot of talk show hosts who do what I do, and they think you're stupid too. I have never lowered the quality of my show or my intellect because of my viewers, and I will never do it. You either get on my level or get the hell off my show. It's been that way since the day I started. And you know what? I can promise you this. Everyone who's been listening for 3 years, they are smarter. They are stronger. They're more independent. They're free thinkers. They see the forest through the trees. And I never talk down to them. I never talk down to my kids. Now, I've told them to go F themselves. I guess my kids too. I've told people to kick the can down the road. I've laid into people. But that's because I care about every single person on this show. I can name the people who watch my show. And those people, I have never lowered the quality of the message. And the problem is that's what politicians do. That's what the talking heads out there, they talk to you like you're stupid. And I'm only going to talk to you that way is if you are being stupid. There's a difference. That's the difference. You have to challenge yourself to have people talk to you at a higher level so they force you to think. They force you to understand. They force you to see things that make you uncomfortable so you can be better, so you don't need anyone to do that for you anymore. But every one of us need to be reprogrammed. We need to change the way we think about things. For God's sakes, if your paycheck didn't show up next week, what would you do? What would you do? If the water shut off and the electricity shut off, what would you do? How long could you survive outside? Do you know what to do? Do you even own a pair of socks and a pair of boots? Or do you just wear sandals like I do? I own boots and socks. Do you have enough ammunition to survive? Do you have enough ammunition to make a fight? Do you have enough of mind and forward thought to be able to protect yourself in any situation that takes place? What happens if we lose gas in the middle of winter? What are you going to do? What are you going to do for water filtration? How are you going to get the water out of your well? Do you have stores? These are all things you should think about, just like you should think about, do I need to take an eraser with me to school? Do I need to take a pencil? Do I need to bring some more paper? You've been bringing tools to things since you were this big. You did it with your toys. I'm going over to Bobby's house. Am I going to bring my G.I. Joe? Am I going to bring my He-Man? What am I going to do? People are like, that's why I live in Florida. Florida's got its own problems. What are you going to do for fresh water? I'm going to go live in the swamp. Good luck. The first cut you get. Let me know how it goes. That guy tried it. He went to go live in the swamp. He was dead. Ask any survival expert. Living in the swamp indefinitely is an impossibility. It doesn't happen. You can't. There are too many things trying to kill you, and they will win in the swamp. You have to ask yourself, it's not about being a survivalist. It's not about joining a 3% group. It's just, what would you do? Just like if you're driving down the road and your car stops in the middle of nowhere and you're 50 miles from a gas station, what are you going to do? No cell service. What are your choices? It's 110 degrees outside. What are you going to do? Do you know? Most people, I'm going to try to walk. Well, you're going to be dead in 3 hours. Stay with a car. You produce shade. You find out your water situation. You survey the area in small incremental steps and you map out where you are. You draw a ring around the car and you walk it. You then go out 5 feet and do it again. 5 feet, do it again. 5 feet, do it again. That way you never get lost. You leave markers from your car to make sure that you're pointing in a direction where you are marking. And you find out your surroundings. You find out if there's some cacti. You find out if there's some ground fruit. You find out if maybe there's a pocket of darker sand, which replicates possibly with digging some water. You look at the storm clouds. You look at the sky. You understand where the wind is, and you prepare yourself for a situation that you're going to have to survive, and you better buck up. Because in a situation like that, you're not going to live very long. We have a responsibility to protect ourselves. You ask yourself these questions, not because you're a preparer or you're a stockpiler or you're some sort of militia. No, you have common sense. Just like I'm not going to go into a brothel without a condom unless I want to have some severe itching for the rest of my life that flares up every 30 days. Are we kidding? I'm going into a brothel. I'm going to bring some topical cream, some antibiotics, and some horse tranquilizers and rubber gloves. I'm going to prepare myself. We don't know how to do that anymore. So vote for Steve Garvey, and all of it will change. No, if you're looking for change from politicians, you're never going to get it. You're never going to get it. They're not the answer. Your local and state government is the answer. You need to go do something. Put your money where your mouth is. Get out there. This is mine to do a show. The lowest point of our lives in this show for 3 years was January. This January killed us. We made $764. The funny thing is, there's a lot of people, if they made $764, they'd be jumping for joy. And I used to be one of them when I was younger. $764 that month. That is literally like a 98% cut from what we've been used to. And we survived. We made some tough choices. We cut some things. That's it. We said no to some things. Tammy, over at Tammy's Diner, her husband needed a new bed. And God, I know he did. And Mike and I were going to buy it for him. And it was $100. I couldn't do it. First time I couldn't. I said, I can't do it. Can't do $100. I got to watch out. I got to be careful. I got to protect my family. I have to see the forest of the trees. I have to prepare. This month, We're now at 1.5 million viewers, and we're going up. We're going to hit like 5 or 6 million interactions this month, and that means the paycheck's going to be where it was. But we got hit in January because Facebook changed their algorithm. Facebook stopped pushing videos, so I had to go back more to avatars and memes and texts to drive my traffic. I was late, and I missed it because of the holidays. You have to prepare. You have to foresee the unfortunate. You have to see the things around the corner. And the only way you do that is with experience and keeping your head up, and stop relying on someone else. Keith, I know me being by myself. This is the show we used to do all the time, and it crushed. And it didn't crush live, though. Olivia, Leroy, Amy, they bring the live viewers in, but I do this show and the recorded show all the time by myself. There are times I enjoy it, and people tell me all the time, I like it better with just you. Well, not everybody likes that. Some people don't like me. They love Liv. They love Amy. They love Leroy. They like Mike. To me, more is better. Maybe I need to learn how to facilitate better. Maybe I need to create conversation like this. But the problem is I'm not good patient. I take over rooms. I've always done that. I walk into a room, I take over the room. It's always been a gift. So when I'm in a room with other people, I find it really hard to not say too much. I find it really hard to be patient. And that is my flaw. So if there's any shortcomings with our live show with everybody, it's my fault. It's because I don't include enough. I don't ask enough questions. I have the answer, and instead of letting other people uncover it, I try to fill in the gaps. So I need to be a better host. That's what needs to take place. I hear you, Keith. I hear you. I like this better, to be honest with you. But I love my wife, and I love doing it with her. It's fun as hell. Our banter, it just makes it, because she's awesome, and she's just awesome. And I love Leroy and Amy and Michael. They're just too good of people. All right, let's get to our last topic, and then I got to go because I want to watch the rest of the Avs game. Topic number 3. This is going to be a fun one. We're going to watch a little video. I know my wife is smoking hot. Thank you. I know. I get to wake up to her every morning. I'm aware. She sleeps in the nude, by the way. Just thought I'd give you a little every morning. 25 years I get to wake up to that woman, and let me tell you, I love it. I would never change a thing. Nope, not for all the gin joints and all the ice cream in Joe Biden's freezer. All right, let's get to it. And I was kidding about the nude thing, but I can always hope and pray. Jon Stewart. I told you earlier, I don't love Jon Stewart, but I like his brain. He's wicked smart. He's wicked smart. Super intelligent. I may not like everything he says, but that doesn't mean he's not smart. We're going to listen to him real quick. And I want you to listen to it because this is good. And it's at 3-2 Colorado. Thank you. I can't believe they allowed 2. If Colorado allows 4 again, I swear to God. All right, let's watch this. This is good. You haven't seen it probably, so let's listen to this.
Challenge. And it is not crazy to think that the oldest people in the history of the country to ever run for president might have some of these challenges. Now, Democrats will say that any criticism like this, especially of Biden, is unfair because you just don't know Biden like they know Biden.
President Biden, who I've been around numerous times just in this last year, is sharp, he's focused, he's bright.
Use your feet. Hey, Marcus, you got impeached, you prick. Watch for your feedback. Listen, folks, if you're going to get on comms with people, don't be playing your speaker. That's why you have headphones in. Seriously? Come on now.
Intensely probing and detail-oriented and focused.
This is a man who is sharp, who is on top of his game, who knows what's going on.
He's smart. He's on his game.
I was in almost every meeting with the president, and the president was in...
Is like a Venn diagram. And he is got some circles, and he's got some squares.
I love Venn diagrams. I really do. I love Venn diagrams. It's just something about those three circles and the analysis about where there is the intersection, right? Yeah, I see people that you agree with me, right?
No, none of us do.
And on top of it all, coordinating and directing leaders who are in charge of America's national security, not to mention our allies around the globe.
Did anyone film that?
That's funny.
Because if you're telling us behind the scenes he is sharp and full of energy and on top of it and really in control and leading, you should film that. That would be good to show to people instead of a TikTok where he goes, chocolate chip cookie. We see he's in charge. You see, I like cookies. Of course, when it comes to Republicans, they've got a different strategy for their 77-year-old candidate.
Well, first of all, Donald Trump is not an old man.
He's an old man. He is objectively an old man on a human scale. Trump is objectively old. If he was a tortoise, I would tell him as a tortoise at 77, oh, young man, go off and enjoy college. But he's not a tourist. He's not a tortoise. That is not being ageist. That is being human lifespanist. One thing we know for certain is this. We have two candidates who are chronologically outside the norm of anyone who has run for the presidency in this country, in the history of this country. They are the oldest people ever to run for president, breaking by only 4 years the record that they set. The last time they ran, they are at the age. They are objectively old. They're at the age. There are no more age-related milestones to hit.
I swear to God, that graphic is mine. When I watched this the first time, I went through a bunch of old episodes, but I know some people do that, but I remember this graphic on one of my shows, especially the white outline and the way that they're stacked. I'm telling you, it's like kind of like recognizing, you know, if you're an artist, you can recognize your own work. I swear that's my design. And I got it off the internet. I got to go search and look it up. I could be wrong.
They got the AARP card. They've got Social Security. They've got their movie discounts. There is no, oh, wait till you hit 88, you get to drink and drive. No! The only thing left to them is a Today Show Smuckers shout out. You know what? I think we've got a new name for our election coverage. Indecision 2024 Antiques Roadshow. All right. Look. Here's what I'm going to tell you. We're not suggesting neither man is vibrant, productive, or even capable. But they're both stretching the limits of being able to handle the toughest job in the world. What's crazy is thinking that we're the ones, as voters, who must silence concerns and criticisms. It is the candidate's job to assuage concerns, not the voter's job not to mention them. And look, I'm not trying to be cruel. I didn't want to have to do this on my first date. Come over here. Look at me. Look what time hath wrought. Give the kids a treat of the lunar surface here. Look at this.
Oh, man.
I'm like 20 years younger than these. This. Look at this. They wish.
Oh.
By the way, if
if you don't, here's the truth. And if you think like, oh, 20 years isn't that long, this is me 20 years ago. Yeah.
See, okay. Listen, I'm not all that in a bag of chips. I'm aware. To some people, they're like, he's old. But damn it, I'm not a bad-looking 50. I worked my ass off. And I refuse to go gently into that good night. Now I find myself moving towards the Jon Stewart look a little bit. The gray's coming through. And Jon actually looks pretty good physically. I mean, he's a toothpick, but he's not, putting on any unwelcome pounds. But I am fighting the age, doing everything I can to fight that damn thing. It's hard. It's hard to get out of bed. It's hard to work out. It's hard to do those things. It's tough. It's tough. But Jon Stewart's like 57, right? Is that how old he is? I don't imagine myself going that far down the road in 7 years. But maybe I got to keep eating right, take care of myself. But I hear what he's saying. It's hard. It's 50 years old, April. 50, half a century. Holy crap. Holy crap. It's not the age, it's the mileage. I don't care what anyone says. It's the mileage. Trust me. It's the mileage.
I agree. And perhaps it was my mistake for sleeping in a meat dehydrator. Look, Joe Biden isn't Donald Trump. He hasn't been indicted as many times, hasn't had as many fraudulent businesses, or been convicted in a civil trial for sexual assault, or been ordered to pay defamation and had his charities disbanded, or stiffed a shit ton of blue-collar tradesmen he'd hired. Should we even get to the grab the pussy stuff? Probably not. But the stakes of this election don't make Donald Trump's opponent less subject to scrutiny. It actually makes him more subject to scrutiny. If the barbarians are at the gate, you want Conan standing on the ramparts, not chocolate chip cookie guy. So what's the good news? That was not rhetorical framing. I'm literally...
I got to pause it for a second because I don't want to get a copyright strike, because I will tell you, if this is Comedy Central, that they're horrible. They are just money hungry. There once was a man from Nantucket whose boop so long he could boop. He rubbed it a while and said with a smile, "If my ear was a boop, I could boop it." There we go. Outstanding. Time to go. Oh, I just got a copyright notice. Did you see that? I just got a copyright notice from YouTube. You son of a bitch. My man from Nantucket didn't work. God, I got to go take care of this. Let's listen to the rest of this before they shut me down.
The next 9 months or so, and maybe more than that depending on the coup schedule, they're going to suck. You're going to be getting emails with insane subject lines like, "Hello, John, it's Chuck Schumer. Donald Trump is right behind you with a knife."
But Jon Stewart is 61.
61. Okay, well, 11 years. I'm going to look better than him.
Donate. You're going to get inundated with robocalls and push polls and real polls, and people are going to tell you to rock the vote and be the vote and vote the vote and finger bang the vote. And it's all going to make you feel like Tuesday, November 5th is the only day that matters. And that day does matter. But man, November 6th ain't nothing to sneeze at, or November 7th. If your guy loses, bad things might happen, but the country is not over. And if your guy wins, the country is in no way saved. I've learned one thing over these last 9 years. And I was glib at best and probably dismissive at worst about this. The work of making this world resemble one that you would prefer to live in is a lunch pail job, day in and day out, where thousands of committed, anonymous, smart, and dedicated people bang on closed doors and pick up those that are fallen and grind away on issues till they get a positive result. And even then have to stay on to make sure that result holds. So the good news is, I'm not saying you don't have to worry about who wins the election. I'm saying you have to worry about every day before it and every day after. Forever. Although, on the plus side, I am told that at some point, the sun will run out of hydrogen.
I don't love Jon Stewart. I admire his brain. I admire his intellect. I admire how sharp he is. There is nothing wrong with humor. And there's nothing wrong with making fun of people. I love it. I do it all the time. I make fun of people constantly. I make fun of myself. There's nothing wrong with humor. There's something wrong about despising success. And I understand people don't like Taylor Swift. I think Travis Kelce is a dick. After what he did to his coach, screw that guy. I think he's an idiot. He's just stupid. I'm sorry. And I don't respect people who are dumb. He's dumb. And he's a brick. He's a typical tight end for football. He's just dumb. He's not smart enough to be a receiver. And he's not strong enough to be a lineman. He's a brick. What does a tight end do? Block and slant routes. That's all they do. But it's not complicated. Go over the middle, catch the damn ball. That's it. Throw it over the linebacker's head. Catch it. You got it? Me got it, coach. Me go do that. He's an idiot. Shannon Sharp. Not a stupid tight end. Gronkowski, stupid tight end. But I'm not jealous of his success. 2 Super Bowls. He was amazing. He probably won them that game. He was incredible. They opened up the run game a little bit because of him, and they definitely opened up the passing game. They had to put a quarterback spy on Mahomes, and he dominated that game. Tight end crushed it. Your tight end gets 7 catches, forget about it. Your game's probably good. That's at least 3 or 4 third down conversions. That's enough to put up 2-3 scores for most teams, especially a Super Bowl team, against a defense which was pretty stellar in the first quarter but got tired in the second on San Francisco. Point is this, Kelce is a dick. I don't like him, but I'm not jealous of him. Taylor Swift, I got no problem with her. I think it sucks that she raised money for Palestine, but that's her prerogative. She has a right to do that. I don't care. I just don't care. People say she's a witch. You're an idiot. You don't know if she's a witch. What are you doing? If you've got that evidence, go sell it to the National Enquirer and retire. You don't have the evidence? She said it. No, she didn't. She did pagan rituals on her concert. No, she didn't. She made a freaking recreation of the TV show Willow. She did the song for the stupid TV show. The reason why you don't know is because the show sucked and nobody watched it. I just don't like her. I don't care. You said the same thing about Nikki Haley, and I don't care about that either. Folks, can we stop worrying about the things that aren't important? Can we stop worrying about the things that aren't going to impact you and ask yourself a simple question? I've said this on the show, and I want to make a shirt. If you're not going to care about it in 5 years, then why in the name of God do you care now? Why do you care now? If you're not going to care about it in 5 years, then why do you care now? Move on. The only people who are keeping Taylor Swift alive are people who hate Taylor Swift. Because honestly, I got to sit here and have one of the greatest days of my life was sitting here and listening and trading songs with my daughter as she played a Taylor Swift song. And then I tried to pull something out of my anthology of music in my head to whimsically compare the two and tie them together somehow. And to watch her listen and catch the notes and feel the presence of the music. For me to be able to do that with a Taylor Swift song and spread it out to Toad the Wet Sprocket, Lifehouse, Jethro Tull, Sarah McLachlan, Taylor Swift has to have some talent. Maybe it's because you haven't listened to her stuff. Because there are some songs that are annoying as hell. We are never, ever, ever getting back together. Oh, my Lord. I can't stand that song. Look what you made me do. Look what you made me do. What you made me do. I can't stand that song either. But there are other songs that remind me of my child, that make me cry, that I love, that are sentimental and beautiful. And the lady has talent. You don't have to like her politics. All you got to do is shut up, put on the headphones, and listen to the song and decide, I like this. I don't like this. But you can what do you want her to do? She went with her boyfriend. She showed up to games. You want her not to go? You guys were complaining that she doesn't commit to any boy and she just goes around. Well, she seems to be happy now. So maybe instead of wishing that Taylor Swift gets into a plane crash or something horrible, maybe we could actually just pray that she finds happiness and she brings a little peace to Kelsey's soul, which seems to be roided out. And maybe he, with that kind soul, can touch her in a way where she doesn't feel the necessity to be 13 anymore and grow up and actually consider possibly having a family and getting married and changing her prerogatives and her priorities to care more about her fans' experience than her bank account. And maybe, just maybe, that's what she needs. But I promise you this, all the hatred and all the frustration in the world she'll never feel, but you will. I'm tired of hating everybody. I'm tired of being frustrated with everybody. You know what I would love to do? I would like to try to find the good in people, like Jon Stewart, and maybe listen to Jen Psaki and say, yeah, I disagree with a lot of what she said, but there was a couple things I actually agree with what she said. I think RFK is a conspiracy nut, and I think he is propagated by a lot of conspiracy nuts. I agree with that. And then I can also listen to Steve Garvey and listen to what he has to say and not know anything about his politics or what side of the aisle he's on, but love that one thing he said about the Constitution of the United States. And then I can know that I can look at Adam Schiff deep in his soul and realize that he is a giant waste of a fucking life. Folks, thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me show. I appreciate you. God bless. Take care of each other. Do me a favor. Go over to thedumshow.com. You can go ahead and hook up with Spreely.tv. Do that. Spreely.tv. Go over there ASAP and make sure that you go ahead and sign up. It's all free. Social media, video, news, all of it. Last thing, if you want, you can go to this link right here. This is my link, tap, go. Everything available. Link, tap, go / The Dumb Show. All of my links are there for Spreely. You can get all of our videos. You can get all of our podcasts. You can go and buy some stuff, read our news blog. All of it's right there. Thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me show. Back tomorrow. I'll have a recorded show for you in the morning. I'll have some news in the afternoon, and we will have a live show at night. Yes, that makes a 14-hour day. So if you would be so kind, on that link I just provided, there is a PayPal address where you can donate to the Don't Unfriend Me show. I don't beg for money. It's simply for exchange of services. You come and watch me. I provide a show. If you're entertained and you liked it, great. Maybe you could go ahead and help us out a little bit. We would appreciate it. Click on PayPal. You can donate that. That would mean the world to me and my family. Thanks for watching. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow. And thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me show. Good night.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, Olivia, and Mike. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on the Spreely.tv network and all major social media channels at The DUM Show. Honest, direct.
Hey, and happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Giant, huge candy heart to everybody that says, would you be mine? Happy Valentine's Day. Good night.
Unfiltered. We can agree. We can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.